Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Games Industry Executive Summary. This is Casey. I'm back
He's back
from 2 weeks of travels in Japan and Korea.
to rescue the people from my attempts at sharing trailers,
Yes,
which have been pretty scattered, to be
I
honest.
noticed.
Yeah.
And of course, the person who's been mostly consistent here is the dashing Dave Thier.
Here to dash.
Yes. Welcome on board, Dave. It's been a while. I've missed you and Manu and the show.
Yeah.
But I've had
how was East Asia?
East Asia. I was in Korea first for G-Star.
Mm-hmm.
And G-Star was very impressive. I was like, holy shit, this is almost it's not Gamescom level, but like it's up there.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Because
I didn't really have any clear ideas, so that's cool.
No, I mean, I've been told, oh, it's this small thing. Like I thought it was like almost like Nordic Game, where it's like maximum of like 2, 3, 4,000 people. But this was a huge event. But also they married they married business with the public.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw obviously a lot more movement. The show floor is huge. I would say the show floor is probably as big as one of the biggest hallways in Gamescom.
Mm-hmm.
So and then they have another show floor with 2 floors, which is almost like 2 business floors of Gamescom as well.
Cool.
So
and what's the vibe? Is the vibe different than Gamescom?
I would say it's similar-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt like it was like always like you have a couple publishers who have a walled garden around their booth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these you have a section for indies from different countries doing their thing, and then you have these service providers from different kinds, translations, networking, whatever it is, trying to sell you stuff. AI, of course, that's the big thing. I saw a really impressive
thing. Yeah, that's. I feel like
what is life?
The initial shock is over, and now people are like, "Well, yeah, well, here it is. Here we are."
Yes. I mean, what is life without AI at this point, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna. By the way, Dave, don't mind too much business to what's happening in the background. This is a game that was announced 6 days ago, or Tides of Annihilation or Combat.
For some reason, even though it's fantasy, I got Warhammer 40k out of that armor right there.
Okay, there you go.
Warhammer 40k.
But anyways, talking more about Southeast Asia.
East Asia.
East, Southeast, Southwest.
No,
I don't know.
Southeast is like Vietnam and Cambodia and that kind of.
I see. Isn't Southeast also Malaysia and Singapore?
Yeah, I think those qualify.
Okay, yeah. Basically, everything besides and under China, almost ish. Yeah. Yes. No, but so I think the event was impressive. I did 2 panels with some really cool people from Clair Obscure and Kingdom Come and Fallout and Pentiment and these people. So we had Obsidian, we had the Kingdom Come. Sorry, forgot the name of the studio. I'm sure you can remind us.
What is
Sandfall. And then we had somebody from Warner Brothers. Sorry, no, Disney and Fox doing games there or publishing games there. And then, I mean, it was a mix of people, but the actual it's like the GDC type event on the side was really great. It was targeted towards consumers, not professionals, but it was very, very professionally done. The production value. Unfortunately, nothing is recorded. There are some rules and regulations apparently, but it was an amazing event. So I absolutely recommend people to put G-Star on the map for them. I know a lot of people might want to go and prioritize Tokyo Game Show, but I think Korea, generally speaking. By the way, like I went to visit Krafton and visit Nexon and visit NeoWiz and all these companies. Like the sheer massiveness of the buildings, like it's like these 10-story buildings that each story is huge, and it's like holy shit.
Going to like EA's campus in in Bay Area, Redmond, city, I guess.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, the similar idea that you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's
These
the
guys,
scale.
are the new titans, basically. You know.
I would absolutely say that is the case. And at Newiz, as an example, I was able to go in and see like the dev team making Lies of P2, which was really cool. I was like holy shit! Like, okay, everybody's sitting here, and they're so open. By the way, something that surprised me a lot about the Korean game development scene. They're very open and very like welcoming and like
Should be.
the Japanese are a bit harder to connect with. They're
Yeah.
very traditional and they have like the hierarchy and all that stuff going on, right? But in Korea, I felt like they were very chill.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Because and in America, people are friendly and open in that way, but
yeah.
like you're not going to get in and watch and like look at their stuff.
No, they're not gonna like. And here's the
Yeah,
funny thing: I didn't even sign an NDA, no nothing. Like they
yeah,
have a reception, and I thought I would gonna sign an NDA, and like they gave me a badge. I didn't even get a badge. I just like the guy. Yeah, he just like they have these subway gates thingies, right?
yeah, yeah. I know,
And
but
he just like
we got to talk about what's happening in this video, though. There's all kinds of stuff happening here. We're having a fight in a
you're enjoying
reflection.
that, right?
Yeah, like this is wild.
It looks really cool. I don't know who
Yeah, I
designed this
like
game.
it.
Let's talk about this game.
Yeah, it's got a
Uh,
Souls vibe, obviously, but
there is
a little.
a bit of that, but it's more like
Yeah,
I feel like it's a combination of that and almost like what's that game called? The one with the guns?
there's a lot of those. I could be a little more specific.
Devil May Cry is what
Devil
I
May
was
Cry.
thinking
Yeah,
about.
I see. I
Yeah.
definitely see some Devil May Cry here.
Or that lady, I
Yeah,
forgot, that used to have games just on Nintendo. I forgot the name. Was
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta? Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, but definitely a little heavier than Bayonetta.
Tides of Annihilation.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it looks
so
very. I mean, when she started fighting in the reflection, that's when things really kicked up a little bit. There,
absolutely.
that's
So this is
an idea.
so Dave. This is Eclipse Glow Games. I have no idea who that is. Um, let me see here. There is. Let me see. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
but I
trying to
think
find
we're
out.
definitely seeing this phenomenon where like you don't know who they are, and we're seeing that happen a lot,
Okay.
right? Because like money is flowing into Korean and Chinese developers in a way that it is just sort of increasing between Crafton and Tencent and all that, and just that general ecosystem. And then also middleware is just getting a lot better. So that it used to be if you're going to see something with that kind of intense level of AAA polish, like this is a well-established studio. You had to know what it was, and
How did you know
that's
this was
no
a
longer
Chinese
a thing.
studio?
Was that?
How did you know this was a Chinese studio?
I said China and Korea. I
Yeah,
didn't know it was Chinese, but
it is a Chinese studio.
I mean, generally speaking, if you see something AAA quality that from a studio that you are not familiar with, it's probably coming from China. I think Korea is probably an option too. But like if it's we know the big shops in Japan. Like no one's making AAA studios in Japan right now, and
No, I mean the Japanese
even
also. I'm sure you're aware of this, right? But I feel like they don't care about the world.
no,
Like
I mean,
they
there's a
are
lot of people in Japan, and they play a lot of video games, so they do have. I mean, obviously, everyone wants to sell more of what they're making,
absolutely,
but they have a
absolutely.
little bit of a luxury of being able to really focus on their local market, which is also, a little bit. It's different because it did evolve. It's an older, more established market, and so it evolved on its own a little bit more before this kind of
Yeah,
hyper global era.
absolutely. And I think I mean the difference now when looking at the Korean and Chinese studios is that they do want to go global day one. They have that
Yeah.
focus. They
Which is
understand
interesting. I
that.
mean, China is obviously gigantic, so you don't need any more money
Absolutely.
than what you can get from China. But there's higher incomes elsewhere, and also just an appetite for AAA games. And I do think that there is a bit of a cultural pride element going on there. We saw that a lot with Wukong, and I think there is definitely an element of like, yeah, we can make these things just as well as you guys can, and they're proving that.
By the way, we always speak like the top 10 on Steam, and you have like Naraka Blade Point that I haven't played personally, but like that game is there,
Yeah, that's all over the place, man.
which is pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
you can tell that they have that this is fully up to Western AAA standards because of the yellow paint.
It's yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's how you identify
Yeah,
climbable ledges.
it was like the flood a little bit. These enemies here.
Have you played this game or not?
No.
I mean, obviously, you want to play this game when the family is asleep. Just to
Yeah.
be very clear, for
This is
various reasons. Uh,
various reasons. This is the
yes.
first time I'm seeing of it. That
Um,
little jump down there was actually kind of interesting. That was some interesting level design right there.
I
It
mean, this
doesn't
game.
look unlike Lies of P, actually, the way this city is structured, I don't
Oh,
think.
that's interesting
Yeah.
that you noted that. Have you
Like the
played and
overall
finished?
style is different, but the city is not unlike that, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, this is one of the. I think this game is a must to play.
Yeah,
And for
I'm
those who are
excited.
listening, we're talking about Stellar Blade right now. And unfortunately, they don't have any less revealing skins, let's say, for the
Yeah. I mean,
character.
I feel it's very funny the way that became the primary identity for Stellar Blade, just because some internet dudes wouldn't
Uh,
shut up about it.
it's a selling point, but it's a bit weird because I feel like the game mechanics, the character trees, the advanced fighting system, the quality of execution of what you mentioned with the world and the enemies and everything is really really good.
Yeah, but I feel like because the online narrative became defined in that way, like I had people be like, "I'm playing Stellar Blade." I know, I know, I know. I'm like, it's okay. You're allowed to play Stellar Blade, man. It's fine.
Absolutely. I'm trying to find the video of that game that we saw at Gamescom, the other Chinese game that was like almost like Sekiro-ish,
Mm,
but I'm not able. I'll try and pull it up while we speak about Chinese games or games from the East. But just to go back again, like my belief in these companies. And by the way, um, if you didn't know, like some of these companies, like because the people who founded these companies, they're in like their 40s or 50s right now.
interesting.
So they're not, and they're still running the companies that they
So,
founded. They might have
yeah,
gotten investment from other places, but what I'm trying to get to is the way that they like decide if a game is going to make it or not. It's like these people who are running these companies, if it's the Craftons or the NeoWizes, um, the owners or the founders are part of the process of greenlighting games. They're
hmm
gamers. They care about games. And I
yeah.
feel
And
like that is
obviously, the
probably,
Western industry has had some issues with that in the past.
yeah, I mean, the focus here, and obviously we'll get to talking about one of the not so well doing publishers, but it feels like these people are just like, why are you're in your 70s or whatever. I forgot how old. What is his name now? The Ubisoft dude.
Eve,
But
Yukimo.
yeah, like
Yeah.
like dude, you are not in touch
I
with
mean, that
what
guy
kids
hasn't
are doing.
interacted with reality for like 15, 20 years, I don't think. I mean, he's a billionaire.
But I think it's one of those things where the older generation needs to like even I'm closing in on my 40s and I'm realizing my limitations and what I
Yeah.
should be focusing on versus what I could have been doing 20 years ago. So I think these people they're just like old people. God damn it, man. They're just holding on to power. They're not dying for various reasons.
Yeah.
Goddamn modern technology and all that stuff, right?
I mean, I
And,
think
and they're
for
holding the
cool,
world back.
they're allowed to live so long as they give up their positions of power. We can permit
I
that, I think.
absolutely think so, and I
Yeah.
think there needs to be a reality check for those people as well in terms of yes, you have some experience, but you also need to nurture the younger generation to take over, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's why some of these companies are being held back. And then on the other side, Dave, you have these like I mean, capitalism and listed companies bring a different type of set of problems,
Yes,
right?
definitely.
And this
Quarterly
is what.
report focused problems.
Thank you, because that means that the KPIs that they're tracking and what is important to them is not obviously like yes, making money or like it's a business and you need to run a business and you have people's livelihood.
But you also need to run a short term business. I think that's a huge thing. You always need to run a business.
Absolutely,
But when you're a public company, it paradoxically makes it much more difficult to make long term decisions
absolutely,
because you're
yes.
always under pressure.
Yes, absolutely. And I think here's where, like, China and the mindset of investment and how they're looking at games, and the type of games that they are making, right? Like the game that we just saw, the Tides of Annihilation.
Yeah.
I don't think that would have, like, been greenlit in the West in
No.
today's day and age.
Well, and also it would cost 4 times as much to make.
But probably, yeah. Absolutely. I would agree on that. I'm really desperately, by the way, Dave, trying to find that other game that I want to show. um,
Hacking away over there.
yes. But anyways, and then in Japan, went to Bandai Namco and had like some really cool meetings there. But that's like, exactly the complete opposite
Yeah.
of where I had to check in and sign like a big paper saying some stuff that I couldn't read. I'm just kidding, by the way. But like, it was extremely formal and extremely, but I mean, great people. Obviously, they've been there for many years and doing a lot of cool things. But obviously, it's much harder to connect with them, and there needs to be like an introduction and all that thing. But then again, what I was mentioning before, like, you go to a book off or a hard off, and if you don't know what that is, I'll explain.
I've heard the
It's
opposite.
there are these, like, shops that sell secondhand things. They're called hard off and book off. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
anyways, um, so uh, you go to the shelves where they have games, and you look at the game selection, and it's like, wow, there's like a huge collection of games that I've never seen or heard of, and
Yeah.
that's why, like, I was mentioning before, I believe they make games for their own domestic consumption. They don't give a shit. Some of the games might make it to other places, and that's fine. But I think their mindset is, I'm gonna make this game for a Japanese person who likes XYZ, and that's it. And then whatever
Which
happens.
I think that's a smarter way to go in the modern industry. Honestly, is like you need your core audience first.
Yes. Yes.
Always.
Absolutely.
You cannot sell to a mass market first. It's just not possible. And then, like, if it's working, if it's rolling, cool. Like, move from there. But if you don't have a smaller audience to grasp onto, you'll never get to that next step.
I think you're absolutely right. And to that, I mean, if I learn anything, like if we look at like, I mean, we spoke. I mean, obviously, FromSoftware has crossed into a different stratosphere, let's say. But I feel like you're absolutely on point, both from a culture perspective, because I was interviewing Martin Klima, who's one of the founders and the people behind um, Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sorry, forgot the name of the studio. I'll probably find that. But um, one of the questions I was asking, like, hey, because his games are taking place in the specific areas that he comes from, and like, embodies that culture and that, like, identity and that time frame that
Yeah,
he wants
definitely.
it. Yeah.
And I think that I mean, this is this thing I was talking about back with Claire Obscure. Is I think that's just becoming more and more important. Is uh, specific identity over general global identity. Why are we watching Honor of Kings? Okay, we're done.
Uh, I mean, I'm just like playing some games from
Yeah.
Asia, trying to focus on talking to you, Dave,
Honor
at
of
the same
Kings,
time.
definitely
Uh,
Asian.
I don't know. I'm gonna pull up Naraka.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
Have
Yeah,
you
I mean,
played?
that's one of those games I know has been around and I know has been a thing for a long time, but I just don't know. I know it's like melee battle royale, but that's basically all I know.
I'm gonna bring that up actually and see if we can learn something at the same time. Um, but yeah, so I would love to hear from you. Like, what's been happening here on the show while I was gone. Any?
I'm like a goldfish, just moment to moment here. Show's been good as far as I know. It's I'm playing a lot of Anno. Anno's cool.
Okay, there you go. Is
Yeah,
that a new Anno or?
yeah. It came out like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Roman
What is it called? I know what.
117.
117 Pax Romana.
Yeah, and it's good. There's some really it's definitely an auto game. There's no way around that. But for me, the big difference is that in Auto 1800, you could build a commuter pier, which allows you to share your workforce between islands. So I can make an island that requires an engineer workforce, even though only farmers live on this island.
Got it.
And this one, you can't do that, which I think is appropriate to the setting. You don't like. I don't think Romans are doing a lot of commuting necessarily. and you play it very differently for that reason. And so I think that that's pretty cool. You have to make it's less about 1800 was about making your sort of gleaming, glorious capital and having everything feed into it. I mean, at least that was a common way of doing it, an easy way of doing it. And this one is more about making these interconnected islands that all have sort of elements of self sustainability and elements of export. And I think that's pretty neat. Also, it looks great. You got diagonal roads, which is a huge addition.
Well, look at that.
You have some land combat, which you didn't have in the original. In 1800.
Well, when you say combat, you mean like as in like fighting other
Yeah,
factions?
basically it's a city builder with like this light strategy RTS
Ah,
layer,
that's cool.
and you can interact. You can set it to very different difficulties. So some people like to play with the enemy AI turned off entirely.
Yep.
You can have like low level AI that like ask you permission for doing stuff and basically never pose a threat, but they make the world more alive and they can do trade and stuff. And then at the higher tiers, you're in genuine competition, and they might attack you.
Hey, Dave, my memory from Anno, the only one I actually played is it called 20 something?
Yeah,
Um,
I don't I got on board the series at 1800, so I know that they have two futuristic ones,
yeah.
one like
And
near future, one far future. But I don't know too much about them.
got it. I mean, my takeaway playing that game, and that was like 10 years ago. So my memories of it was very like like the game satisfactory.
Yeah,
You're
no, it's a
constantly,
supply chain game. It's a
yeah,
city
yeah.
builder supply chain game, definitely.
Got it. Yes. Yes, exactly. And it was so fun because you're always optimizing the routes and you're changing things and
Yeah, and it's a
um,
machine. You get to feel the machine work. It's very
yes.
pleasing.
I think that is absolutely the right way of describing it. But here you're saying that they're adding a bit more to it in terms of like you have these threats that are coming
Yeah,
to you and
I
you can
mean that's always been a part of the series.
got
And you did have that in 1800 too,
yep,
but the addition of land combat is they did not have that in 1800 specifically. I think they
got it.
had it in 1404.
But I don't remember like you could zoom in that much and manage like this feels like more micromanagey than the one I played, the futuristic one.
Yeah, maybe. Again, I don't know about that one, but you can make some really pretty stuff too. One thing I like that again is appropriate to the time is that you have these like public buildings, right? So you have the houses and you have the factories, and you also
Absolutely.
have libraries and temples and that kind of thing. And because this is Rome and they love their monuments, there are more of these and they are much bigger, which I think is overall pretty positive for the way that the city ends up looking as opposed to 1800. They've done a nice job with that.
By the way, the game looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gorgeous. Absolutely
yeah,
gorgeous.
and production is way different from 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, 1800 was a huge hit for them.
got it.
So they supported that heavily. By the end of it, it was massive. And in some ways, it's fun for me to come back and play this at the beginning because it is so much more like manageable than what 1800 became. But it's also fun to be here at the beginning, and we can get to see it expand over the time. So in this one, you can build in Italy version of Italy, and you can build in a version of England, and then the next one they're going to do is Egypt. So
Ooh,
that's
that's
exciting.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they can do Mesopotamia one day, or like the Persian Empire or something
Yeah,
like that.
no, well, probably not because it's Rome. For this, it'll be anything Rome. So
Oh, I
yeah,
see.
Egypt. You could definitely. I wonder if they'll do like kind of Judea, that kind of area. It might be a little too similar aesthetically to Egypt for them. They could do Germany. I think that there could be some interesting stuff for that. Especially they could do it maybe more land focused, more continental. Because it's all about ships here. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot of the Romans went a lot of places. So you could have a Carthage DLC. That'd be intense.
Yeah,
All kinds of
absolutely. No, I think I mean what's cool about what you just mentioned as well is that all these like empires and like they all coexisted in different shapes and forms and
yeah,
had like some relationships as, going back and forth.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
I'm always whenever I see a historical game, I always think of like Assassin's Creed. What would be good next? And I feel like this series is good with empires. 1800 is definitely about the height of these European empires, and I feel like you could do some good stuff with Mongolia.
Ooh, that could be cool.
That's what I think would be a nice
I
next
mean,
place to go.
when you think about it, we barely have anything about Mongolia, like apart from
No, it is
Ghost of
really
Tsushima.
underrepresented in pop culture and in games and
Yeah.
everything, and it's like one of the, it's one of the great empires of the world.
Well,
Uh,
and by the way, Dave, when you hear about them, it's always that they are brutal and like conquerors and
yeah,
that shit.
well, isn't when people talk about like because the Yuan dynasty in China is Mongols, and so basically, if they want to call it say bad things about it and say they're brutal, they call them Mongols. But then as soon as they're civilized, people tend to start calling like thinking of them as Chinese, despite the fact that these are absolutely Mongolian rulers.
I see. I didn't know that. That's interesting. The more you learn. I mean, there is this professor on YouTube that I follow. His name is Professor Young, but and he talks about history and stuff like that. So when you were talking about like Judea and you're talking about the Romans and the Egyptians and all that stuff, I was like that hits home because I'm learning about that stuff right now, and it's really
Right.
interesting from the perspective of how that stuff shaped the modern world of where we are today.
Straight line, man. It's all connected. And I
Hell
mean, the
yeah!
more you learn about how
Yes,
Mongolia shaped the modern world is also super
I
interesting.
know nothing about Mongolia
I mean,
apart from
there's
there's this
the
dude called
largest
Genghis Khan.
one of the largest empires in the world. So clearly it had an impact.
I think Uncharted 2 had a bit of stuff there,
It
not
had stuff
related to the
in
Mongolian Empire, but like
Tibet. Yeah,
yeah, that I assume that was part of the empire at one point. But like
probably. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know. Maybe they didn't really bother with mountains because of their whole horse thing.
that is true. But what I'm
Yeah,
trying to get to is that that area, generally speaking, in the world as well, like we
yeah, yeah.
barely see anything. And by the way, I mean we spoke about Asian games and Chinese games. Um, are there any games that take place in China in any shape or form? Like, think of a game where you were at the Great Wall of China. I can't think of a
Yeah,
game
no,
where.
I can't. I'm sure it exists. I mean, it's not the Great Wall, but one of Genshin's first areas is can't remember the name of the area, but it's very specifically China, and it has a
Okay,
lot of kind of landmarks. It has the karst forests of Guilin and Yangshuo and things like that. And that is a big part of that. Wukong, obviously.
we have Total War did some stuff. The
Total
three
War, yeah,
kingdoms, yeah.
yeah. But
Um,
again, it is not like we've probably seen as much stuff based in Miami as we have in the entire country of China. So like, it is not representative of either the population and scope of that country or its increasing role in the video game industry.
Absolutely. Have you been to China, by the way?
Not for a very long time, not since right after college.
Okay, but I mean, then I'm sure you have really good memories from like the modern Chinese architecture, like how huge things are, like the airports and the train
Yeah,
stations.
definitely. I mean, I think so. When I was there, it was like 3, 4 years after the Olympics was in Beijing, and I believe that was generally that was a big moment for the kind of international debut of some of this stuff, some of this big stuff. So yeah, there was. I don't remember. I don't think it was fully developed though. Like there's a lot of stuff. Shanghai is big, but it's been big for a little while. Yeah, I don't know. That's not what really the modern architecture is not what stood out necessarily.
But so I went to Shanghai and Beijing. That was 15 years ago.
Just
Um,
similar. Yeah,
extremely impressive from
yeah,
the like the. But also, I think what impressed me and my wife mostly is the sheer grandioseness of things, and that's why I was asking you about like if
yeah,
you go to a train station, it's like holy shit, this like the ceiling is very far away
yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
like
It's big.
massive. It's just massive, pure massive. But
Yeah.
also obviously that is a testament to the size of the population, obviously. But what I'm trying
Well,
to
and
get to, like,
also the sort of the national priorities, right?
absolutely,
So
absolutely,
America has a lot of money, and at the end of the day, a lot of people, not as many as China, but a lot of people. But that's just not a national public infrastructure is not something that America
it's
really
not
cares
being built up. It's being
about.
something else. Yeah, but that's all. That's interesting. You speak about that because the when I was in China and sorry, I was in Japan and Korea. It's very evident, like where money public money is being spent versus
Yeah, in America, the biggest buildings are Amazon warehouses.
yeah.
That's the national priority, basically.
You need delivery
Yep.
and stuff to consume.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, let's go back to talking about. Speaking of, I know, Dave,
Yeah. Okay. A video
Ubisoft,
game.
and obviously, AI is a thing. Apparently, I don't know.
Okay, what are they doing?
I don't know. It's so I don't
I
know.
remember Manu said to make sure to read this one before commenting, which I have not done. So let's see what we got.
And I'll be honest with you, and I have neither, or neither have I.
Yeah.
But the title here, Ubisoft boss believes generative AI is a big revolution for games as the shift. So I assume this means as big as the shift going from 2D to 3D as tech is embraced company wide. I will, by the way, highlight. I'm not sure if you guys covered that. There are layoffs in Malmo on several fronts, which is
I've seen
very
some of that.
unfortunate.
That's rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's the main impact of AI that we're seeing right now is layoffs. But I mean, like he's not like sure he's not wrong. People can do a lot more stuff, and like video game like AI is such a funny way of thinking about it because this is an evolution. The stuff that game developers are doing is an evolution of stuff that they've done for a really long time. Like we've done algorithmic generation, and that's basically what this is. It's just a more advanced version of algorithmic generation.
Yeah, we don't usually like tend to speak about AI in the form of related to. You spoke about, but also like procedure generation of worlds.
Yeah, people exactly. And I think there was an interesting thing. I think I don't know if it's on the news. Maybe it is. But there was an interview with Tim Sweeney where he was like, "Epic Games, not anyone cares about the Epic Games Store," but he was like, we're not going to do this AI tag because it's impossible to define, and it's either going to cover everything or nothing, which I think is kind of fair because it's going to be very, very difficult for people to decide what constitutes a game with AI in it and what constitutes a game without AI in it. You know.
I think that is fair. I don't. I'm very because I read this story on Reddit. By the way, when I was away in my travels, I discovered Reddit. I finally have understood how Reddit works now. It took me like 10 years.
Yeah, welcome to 2010.
It took me 10 years, literally, to figure out how does Reddit work. But now that I understand how it works, I'm like, holy shit! Like I'm scrolling on Reddit, and it's so much more pleasing and fun than going to like I don't know CNN or New York Times.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
If you want to waste time in a way that is more geared towards our particular thing, Reddit is the way to go.
But here's the thing, Dave. It doesn't feel bad like doom scrolling on Instagram.
No, definitely not.
You're reading people's thoughts. You're getting comments. You're getting flavor.
Well, like even there's a lot of robots there. Like there's a lot of robots everywhere, but the robots are catering to that idea anyways. So like it works.
Absolutely. So just to go back, Dave, is this the story you were talking about with Tim Sweeney?
Yeah, there it is.
Stop labeling games as being made with AI. So I think here's what I wanted to get to, which is, I mean, for me, I don't really, I don't have a strong opinion either way. Because I did see that Reddit thread talking about developers, especially indie developers, who are labeling their games or making like a label saying like, our game is not made using AI.
And you're gonna have to be a small shop to do it. But like, I don't know, in Slack, like we have like AI summaries of meetings. Like that's the thing is the technology is so like pernicious or kind of everywhere that it's just going to be so hard to decide where you draw that line. Like why wouldn't AI summaries of meetings be included in made with AI? Why not?
No, I think it makes sense in some contexts, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's also it's ultimately a tool, right? And how you use the tool is probably what's gonna give you the results that you're looking for. And if you are using the tool to just like mash random crap and put that out, right? Then obviously people will see through that very quickly, and they'll just like and I think ultimately speaking, the consumer will vote with their wallet.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
they will ultimately not care.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
like everything else of this kind, and whether or not we're going to say that's good or bad, that's
Yeah.
not the question. But this is a hump that will be gotten over, no question.
Absolutely. Exactly. And I think, like, ultimately speaking, like, people want to consume, or rather, not, I mean, people want to be entertained, and they want to feel like they are, like, just like you're when you're traveling, you want to see new things, you want to explore, and like, what's the experience new things, and things that you haven't experienced before. That's the same thing here. You're producing a video game or a product or entertainment product, and people want to, like, here's have you been on have you seen oh good lord, now I'm just, like, all over the place, but um I saw a movie yesterday on Prime, because that's the only subscription I have these days. Not because of Prime, but because I want fast delivery, and then I happen to have
Yeah,
the app. But I saw a movie yesterday. It was one of the shittiest movies I've ever seen. My kids had a lot of fun seeing that movie. It has Kevin James in it, and what I want to get to is the quality of that movie. It feels like it was produced in under a week or two. Like, that's what it felt like. Obviously, I have no idea. It's called Playdate. Don't watch it. Don't waste your time watching that
I
movie.
won't. Kevin
Um,
James, Kevin Hart.
I mean, I'm actually surprised that he would say yes to being in that type of movie. Um,
People
but it
either
feels like
need money or don't care or whatever.
I mean, the movie is PG-13, but it feels like it's targeted towards I don't know, maybe 10-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pull it up, but the quality of it is just pure trash. Story's fun in some regards, but I was just like, okay, what they've done with this movie, it makes sense because the costs of that movie have been probably, like, super minimal, to the and it's straightforward. It doesn't have, like, convoluted things going on. It fills a certain purpose for that platform, which is Prime, obviously.
Yeah,
And I think if we go back to the subject matter of, like, AI, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have these studios making trash and probably a lot of mobile stuff, right? I'm sure they will be able to accelerate and do that thing. And some of them will be successful, and most of it will be trash, and then you'll have the smart people who will use it in certain places where it makes sense for them. I'm
yeah,
sorry if the action is distracting in the background for that trailer.
yeah,
So you'll have the people who will use it in places where it makes sense and where they can feel original in their work, and those people will be super successful. You know how we talk about FromSoftware, and, like, that animation for opening doors has probably been the same animation the past 10
right,
years.
yeah, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like same with like the pile of trash enemy that's in basically all of them
Absolutely.
or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, you have these gigantic, and I think those companies are probably going to go away in some shape or form. Like, do people care about Assassin's Creed anymore?
I mean, it's on its way out. Whether or not I mean, we'll probably get more. We might, but like it's on its way out. There's no that paradigm
Yeah.
is shifting.
And speaking of that game, or that series, the Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotei. I saw a Reddit post talking about, like, this studio who's never done an Assassin's Creed type of game. They managed to put out two games that
Yeah,
are in that genre, or if you want to call it genre, but in that vicinity of type of game, and did such a better job at doing that. And they probably didn't have, like, 1,000 people working on that game.
no, I mean, Ubisoft developed a structural problem that
Yes,
was good at certain things, but made it very difficult in a lot of other ways.
absolutely.
Yeah, they were just Ubisoft was perfectly geared towards this specific moment that was broadly speaking the 2010s, and they built that company to work in that paradigm.
Yes,
And like it's like and after them, they've got this fashion company, Scotch and Soda, that seems to be having a lot of problems right now. The store in Harlem here closed,
okay.
uh, but like that's the trouble with a fashion brand, right? Is if you attach yourself very specifically to a certain style,
Yes,
you have a time limit. on which you need to work on that, because fashion is not forever. And it's similar. A similar thing happened here. Is like, because the games industry is relatively new and relatively young, I think there was this assumption that we had reached this point, and we were going to keep going on this path, not seeing it as fashion and as it changes. That the thing that people want today is not necessarily going to be the thing that people are going to want in the future. And they really built out that entire company to deliver a thing which is, the value on it is declining.
It's very interesting that my kids went back to playing Elden Ring just recently.
The kids in Elden Ring, man. I don't remember this. Who is this guy?
I have no idea. This is the beginning of the game, I believe.
I don't recognize. I haven't played this game since around the time it came out, but I did not recognize that particular hideous wretch. Not to say that FromSoftware is short of hideous wretches.
You can go back. I think it's one of those. What are they called? Like the villages where they have these I don't know, village people with horns. But the reason I'm bringing this game up again. You can pick it up again, by the way, and you'll have an amazing time.
Yeah,
amazing time in this game. And I just feel like, to what we were speaking about before, they are making a game for a specific audience, but they just happen to respect that audience enough, and by doing so, they were able to stay true to the goals that the game was trying to hit, and it allowed other people to join.
Yeah, and they did. Elden Ring is a lot bigger than, I guess, the previous one was Sekiro, Dark Souls 3 before that. It's a lot bigger than those, because they made a lot of nods towards approachability.
Absolutely.
That's always been a huge debate within the Souls-like community, but Elden Ring unquestionably made all these big nods towards approachability, and it made it be a much bigger game than it would have been otherwise.
Yes. What's that word? Accessibility. It's not necessarily about dumbing down gameplay sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think generally speaking in the industry, we've decided that accessibility is about accommodations for various disabilities, right? So accessibility is like a colorblind mode or things like that. And approachability is about how difficult is it to engage with this thing. Whether that's in terms of how difficult it is to execute combat like it is in Elden Ring, or how complex is the UI, or whatever.
Absolutely. Dave, I need to run.
I should play Elden Ring again, man. Look at that guy. That guy's awesome.
I think you should. And there was a Reddit post. Somebody was talking about Elden Ring is that cozy feeling of going out in the, not the wild maybe, but going out in the mountains somewhere. You rent a cottage, or whatever they call, a small mansion or whatever, and you light a fire.
A small mansion, if that's what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you light a fire, and you're cozied up, and maybe you have a hot chocolate in your hand or whatever. That is freaking Elden Ring.
Yeah, Hygge, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
You should absolutely go back. And I actually want to go back to Elden Ring. I just want to finish a couple other things going on.
Yeah.
But I feel like during the holiday season, things are shut down. You're you have a small vacation. Yeah. Play Elden Ring with your kids, everybody.
Yep. All right.
Okay, Dave.
We've done it.
Been awesome talking to you. I've missed you, and I'm happy to be back. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
All right, man. See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.